Steadily it rises.
Hey, it's ODB, and I'm back with another update. If you've been following the channel, thank you so much. I do try to circle back and cover any of the key sales. And for a while, I was doing almost every listing review. I was doing kind of a follow-up. So I'm going to try to do that as much as possible. And like I said in the last video, and what I always say, I certainly appreciate all of the support here at Lincoln Addict. If you want to buy a sticker, you can go to lincolnaddict.com. So many of you have reached out via email, lincolnaddictpodcast@gmail.com in the past and said, hey, you helped me, whether you know it or not, purchase a Lincoln or help me with a little bit of intel, if you will, on a particular car via your video. So certainly I appreciate all that feedback. So I'm just going to cover a couple. I don't think I've covered these sales updates yet, but this 66 convertible, I do not believe I did a listing review on it, but I did want to still cover the fact that this car sold for it was bid to $45,500. So the caveat there is if it doesn't say sold, we know that there was a reserve. So as an example here, we could see bid to $45,500, whereas this 41 Cabriolet, sold for $58,000. I'm not going to go into anything in depth here, just because I'm trying to kind of keep this high level. But certainly, the convertible prices have continued to kind of go up, and 45.5 was not enough on this one for it to sell. Also, in that same kind of family, 67 Lincoln Continental Sedan. If I remember correctly, I think I did a listing review on this one. And my apologies, there's just so many different cars out there. I've tried to do as many as I can. But this car sold for, bid to, let me make sure I'm clear, did not sell, but it was bid to $34,500. Now, years ago, as I've said, you could pick up a sedan for a fairly reasonable price, but certainly those days are long gone, and even a mid $30,000 bid wasn't enough for this car to sell. And if I remember correctly, just looking at the interior, you've got this beautiful reddish interior, and I mean, this car was just immaculate in many ways, from going from my memory. So there's that one as well. Now, the last car that I want to mention today, I think I covered a couple of different 66. I know I covered this one, but I did want to look at this one. So you talk about $30,000+, especially for the 66 and 67. Those prices have continued to come in much stronger, and this one is an example of that. $31,250. This one did sell, and when I had text Chris Dunn, he had reinforced to me, which I believe I had covered this possibly in another video, that the interior option with this one was kind of unique. So you have a beautiful color combo with the blue and the interior, and just a very nice car overall. But again, back in the early 2000s, and I'm sure the 90s and the 80s, you could buy one of these sedans for a much, much cheaper price. But I continue to reinforce to folks, because they will say, well, I think the prices are, they've kind of topped out and they're starting to level out, and we're starting to see lower prices. I'm not seeing that. I don't know if that's just, people, with wishful thinking, so to speak, but certainly I have not seen that with what we're seeing here. Now, granted, you could say, hey, Jay, there's a couple cars you just covered that did not sell. They didn't sell, but they still went. They were bid up to a pretty solid number. So I do think that there will be some leveling out a little bit, because I think some things have gotten out of hand. Don't get me wrong, but certainly I have to remind people that there weren't a lot of these cars produced over the course of time. Now, granted, way more sedans versus the convertible, so I totally get it. The coupes are kind of a little bit more rare, so to speak, as well. But bottom line is, 60s Lincolns still very, very desirable, and people are looking for nice cars to enjoy with their friends and family, or just to cruise around on their own solo. I just want to thank everyone for the continued support. And say, again, if you want to buy a sticker, you can hit up lincolnaddict.com. You can also give a thanks here, I think a super thanks. I'm going to be doing more content for members specific. or members only. So if you want to become a quote member here on the YouTube channel, certainly look into that. That is set up there as well. So stay on the rise, and I'll talk to everyone soon. Take care.